sitting in the morning sun. I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away.
Poet, novelist, social activist, and playwright Langston Hughes, whose full name was James Mercer Langston Hughes, was born on February 1st, 1902, in Joplin, Missouri. Originally raised by his grandmother, after she died, Hughes was forced to live with his mother. As a teen, Hughes began moving around Ohio with his mother. During that time, he began writing poetry and submitting his poems to magazines. Despite constantly getting rejected, Hughes stayed determined. Shortly after graduating in 1921, Hughes published his first poem by the name of The Negro Speaks of Rivers in the magazine called The Crisis.
I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep.
Hughes briefly went to Columbia University as an engineering major, but left after only a year because of his fascination with the arts and music in Harlem. While working as a busboy in Washington, D.C., Hughes was discovered by poet Vachel Lindsay and was introduced to editors from the Knopf Publishing Company. Later, his first book of poetry was published entitled The Weary Blues in 1926. Later went on to write some of his greatest poems, novels, screenplays, and short stories such as Fine Clothes to the Jew, Not Without Laughter, The Ways of White Folks, The Mulatto, and The Montage of a Dream Deferred. Hughes died from complications from prostate cancer on May 22, 1967, in New York City. Fixture in the Harlem Renaissance, writer, folklorist, and anthropologist Zora Neale Hurston was born on January 7, 1891 in Alabama. During her early life, Hurston earned an associate's degree from Howard University, published one of her earliest works, then later moved to New York City to become a part of Harlem's arts and music scene. Throughout her life, Hurston collected folklore and published them in her novel, Mules and Men. Hurston later befriended many other people involved in the Harlem Renaissance, such as Langston Hughes, with whom she worked on a play called Mulebone, a comedy of Negro life. With her interest in anthropology, Hurston went to Barnard College and even studied with Franz Boas. Hurston collected African American folk tales with the hope of publishing them. Hurston's first novel, released in 1934 by the name of Jonah's Gourd Vine, receiving a fellowship gave Hurston the means to write her most well-known work, Their Eyes Were Watching God, in 1937. Hurston's last years were quite unfortunate. Even though she had become well-known and very accomplished, Hurston ended up extremely poor. Zora Neale Hurston died on January 28, 1960, after suffering from multiple strokes. Being poor and alone, Hurston was buried in an unmarked grave in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay,